Well, we're going to get started. I'm still waiting for a panelist to join in. He's having some technical difficulty with the internet. But again, this is welcome. This is Heartline's bi-weekly webinar. We do this every other Wednesday, 10 to 11. And what we're really trying to achieve is just keeping our clients and users, obviously, up to date on industry trends, what we're actively doing with our clients to help reopen, keep facilities safe, inform. We're also approaching, budget season, so there's a lot of things that we typically do seasonally this time of year to help our clients. So today we're really focused on, the main event for us in the last few weeks has been how are we going to open up New York City, and obviously yesterday was the first day for gyms to open in New Jersey. So our focus really today is amenity assessments, reopening in New York, and obviously New Jersey. And, today I have two very special guests, a part of the Heartline family. Matt Silver is with us, and Jeff Fogel, again, we're getting him in here, but Jeff will be with us today to also really explain what's been going on in New York City the last few weeks. And obviously Matt's just getting into the fire here in New Jersey, but, what has he been able to help his clients with preparing, and what do we do now? So big questions, right? And we've done several of these kind of reopening webinars. How do we get open? How do we stay open? One of the things that we've put together over the last several months that I think has been significant for our clients, in all of our territories. And again, we're covering a wide range of territory from Maine to Miami, and also operations in Chicago. We're a full service fitness company. We have a unique approach where we come in and want to assess the amenities. We don't want to be the dealership that just, hey, you need a treadmill, you need a bike, you need service. That's not what we do. We have a different approach, and it's a little bit more holistic, and it's looking at the entire space. How do we activate it for community and for lifestyle? And honestly, this is what we've all been missing and are very hungry for over the last 6 months. Whether you've been quarantined, you've been at your house, or whatever's going on, people are starving for this engagement, right? So it's even more important today as we reopen. What are we doing that we find the best way, the safest way to engage those types of things with our clients? So again, we start with amenity assessments. I'm going to briefly go through that. We've covered that in several other webinars, but I think it's extremely important. It's one of the key things that we're doing as the first step in helping our clients reopen and stay open right now. I'd also like to mention, and I'm putting this slide in here specifically, not only because it's important to really understand who Heartline's strategic partners are, not just with products, but sister companies. Specific to New Jersey in this presentation today, we've got to overcome a challenge similar to what we did with pools in New Jersey, where we need an ambassador. We need an attendant to help check people in, do the temperature checks, things like that. We are part of a family of companies, one of them being America Pools, which is the largest full-service commercial pool company in the United States. They have the ability, and this is something to consider if you're already using them, there's attendants already in New Jersey. Can we take them from the pools over to the fitness center, right? This is something that you need to consider and look at. If you haven't done that, you don't have America Pools, maybe you don't even have a pool, Plan companies, been around for 100 years. They are exceptional in concierge, janitorial, security. They can handle this demand and this new mandate to get you that ambassador, get you that staffer that's doing the assessments, the temperature checks, checking people into these fitness centers. And lastly, really, Live Unlimited, again, uber luxury brand here, specializing in amenity space management in the fitness and wellness side of it, programming, and really in New York City is where they are extremely well known, dealing with just 5-star type locations, uber luxury type environment. We're able to bring that type of service to you. You just have to ask. So Let's keep moving on because I really want to get to our experts today. Welcome, Jeff. Um, glad you figured out the IT. um, so quickly on amenity assessments, right? Where do we want to start, right? And if any of you know Simon Sinek, he's huge on why, right? The why. Why do people buy from you? What's your why? We want to start there. Why are amenities important, right? Amenity is important to the community, right? And the engagement of your community. They're important to the lifestyle, right? And everybody's demanding more of an active lifestyle now. Health, wellness. If you're a property manager, if you're an owner, there's things like retention. Do people stay because your amenities are great and the community and the lifestyle is point on? Your rental rates, maybe your amenity fees, the value of your property. Is this the place to be? And it's the sought after place to live. That increases your property value, right? A lot of that has to do with the amenities that you offer, right? So there's a lot of answers to the why, right? But just know we've been in a state of gyms, typically, depends on the region again, right? But let's look at New York and New Jersey. We've been shut down in one of these amenity spaces, the number one amenity space, by the way, for 5 to 6 months easily, right? So what we do next is extremely important because this is a very important amenity space. It's in high demand, and what people expect is really not going to be the same old of what you had, right? It's going to be increased, and there's still going to be a little bit of hesitancy and fear to go back into that bigger gym, even though we're controlling how many people. We're contending with that, and I think that's putting pressure on these amenity space. So you really have to come out of the gates strong, right? Create that value again, and if not, raise the bar, because our population is going to raise the bar on the amenity spaces. Next is why and how. It pretty, easy to understand that. What's being done, how is it being done? That's really the meat on the bone with our assessment. Is we can tell you how to get it done. We can tell you what the trends are. This is a 30-page document, and just here's some examples of what's in these pages. We're very focused on reopening. So depending on your region, there's some different things to understand. Obviously, CDC is fairly standard, but local and state mandates obviously change and are fairly fluid as we go through different phases. You're going to want to understand that and have those plans in place so that you can react to them, okay? Our assessment helps you with that. Another huge part of our assessment is the layout, right? These spaces were designed to maximize the equipment in the space, right? We're pushing a lot of people through here. That doesn't work anymore, right? And you really need to have the same professional that designed it for you initially come back and design it for you now, so that maybe in New York you can pass your inspection. Maybe in New Jersey and everywhere else, you got to file CDC and make sure it's 6 feet. You got to have proper flow. You got to have proper signage. So we're coming in through these assessments, and we're doing this professionally for you. Now, what you'll get after that is we're going to provide recommendations. We're going to provide recommendations for you to reopen. We're also going to provide recommendations for you for the future. It is budget season. And like I said, there's more pressure for these amenity spaces not to just be good, but to be great and even better, best in class. So what can you do, whether it's niche products, programming, providing outdoor fitness, enhancements to virtual fitness, if you have that or not in the space, you need to understand these things now. We still got a little bit of a road to fight through here before COVID is eliminated, and now we're opening these spaces, and we want to make them great. We want to make them inviting, and we want that amenity space, that lifestyle engagement. It's critical that works now. So really, 4 or 5 pages here easily on specific recommendations based on your facility. You'll walk away with, there's more than 5 or 6 pages here with the programming niche products. I just pulled out a couple here, but you will get specifics, industry trends on what's happening in those wet, dry, virtual niche product type spaces. Lastly, in our assessment, couple other pages in here that I think are important for this presentation. You're going to walk away with some action items, right? And some of this specifically will pertain to most of you with reopening, right? So equipment consolidation, removal, disinfection plans, user flow, what your occupancy can be. These are the must do's, okay? You're gonna have that in this assessment plan. The last piece really is an executive summary. So we go back to the why, the what, the how, right? Why are you doing this based on your demographic, right? The competition you have in the surrounding area, right? What needs to be done? How does it need to be done? Whether you're a gym, an apartment complex, an HOA, the board president, these are things that are very easy for people to digest and understand what's going on in this space. And from, these two gentlemen I have on the webinar here today have done hundreds of these assessments. Prior to us doing assessments, they've done thousands and thousands of designs and layouts and consultations, building and redesigning fitness centers for clients pre-COVID. So we are the experts. We can get this done for you. And the tool that we're doing or providing for that is the amenity assessment. So now, without any further ado, I really want to spin this off to Matt and Jeff here. There's, from a high level, there's about 4 bullets, and everybody can kind of read the mandate from New York and New York City and New Jersey. But I think what's important here for our webinar is we've got 2 experts here with tons of experience, tons of knowledge on fitness and working out and exercises and design. What are they seeing? What are the trends? How are they handling certain demographics, certain space size, small, large? What are we doing to get these spaces open within the boundaries of the mandates state and locally? And I think it's important for everyone to understand is we don't have a whole lot of guidelines in the fitness industry, right? It's not like pools. It's not like restaurants. Through this whole pandemic early on, we had the CDC, we had the Department of Health, we had an interpretation that we had to basically apply to what we were doing to reopen fitness centers. Now that we've got New York City and New Jersey basically saying, here's what has to be done. And again, these are hot zones, right? And, luckily what we've been saying all along feels good because a lot of what is being mandated here is what we have come to the table with, in March and in April with here's what you need to do. We've always said wear a mask, right? We know about social distancing, but some of the other things with occupancy and flow and signage, where to put the disinfectant, what disinfectants to use, it's finally all coming together where we have state and local agencies writing mandates that bring it all together. So I think there's some great things going on here. It's making things difficult, right? But I think we're trying to keep people safe. And then there's some practices to learn here and take everywhere. Again, we cover a big territory, but these are some really the best practices for all of us. And I think it's significant what New York and New Jersey have done here. So I'm going to flip it over to Jeff Vogel. We've got a slide here on New York and opening, and Jeff, take it away.
Sure. So first off, everyone who's signing in from New York, congrats. The gyms can finally reopen today in the city. So we made it. You made it. Great job. So anyway, I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with at least some of the high level points of the state mandates and the city guidelines that have been put forth. But I wanted to run through them really quickly. Again, these are all public knowledge. You can find them online on the State Department of Health. They've got a great breakdown on the mandates and then additional recommendations. But we can just run through them real quick here just to reiterate. So as many of you are familiar, the state has mandated that gyms throughout the state have to be cut by 2/3. So you are only allowed to have 1/3 occupancy of what you typically had in your gym space. The tricky part of that is if you operate an amenity gym, a lot of times you didn't necessarily have a maximum occupancy for that particular space, but just to give you an idea, if you have a 1,000-square-foot gym, let's say you've got 4 treadmills, 3 ellipticals, 3 bikes, 4 pieces of selectorized strength equipment, and a set of free weights. So that's technically 15 pieces of equipment. So at any one time, there could be 15 people in your gym using the fitness equipment. You obviously wouldn't want any more than that because no one has anything to do. You might need to flip back to the New York City guidelines, Jeff. But so if you've got 15 pieces of equipment, 15 people maximum, so cutting it by a third, or 2/3, excuse me, you would now have 5 people maximum within the gym. Jeff, you're still on New Jersey there. Okay, there we go.
Sorry about that, Jeff. Doing something in the background and I'm clicking.
That's all right. Rigorous safety standards and cleaning protocols. They've left it a little bit open-ended here, but essentially you want not only individuals cleaning before and after every use of the equipment, so actual patrons in the gym, making gym wipes and sanitizing products available, but also, typically you're going to want your porters coming in or your building engineers coming in and wiping down the equipment every few hours. So recommendation would be something like opening from, say, 6 to 10 a.m., shut the gym down for half an hour, 45 minutes, maybe an hour, wiping down all the equipment with your professionals and your building engineers, your building staff, reopening for another 4 hours, doing the same. And then really you want to be shutting down the gym overnight. Letting whatever potential pathogens, virus, whatever it might be in the facility or living on the equipment, just dwell overnight, shut it down, and then clean up in the morning, and then restart your schedule. So what else do we have? Sign-in health screenings. So the state has mandated that you perform health screenings for not only your staff, which hopefully you're already doing, but for users and patrons of the gym. The state mandate is that 4-part questionnaire. So have you experienced any symptoms? Have you come in contact with anybody within the last 14 days, et cetera? Again, most of you are probably familiar with that 4-part questionnaire, but they've basically extrapolated that now to gym access. So users are now required to fill in and sign out one of those sheets and one of those questionnaires. Temperature checks are not mandated, but you do need to have that screening process. This can be done via the cloud if you have something like Building Links or some other cloud-based building management system. Building Links actually has an online sign-up sheet that you can sign in to use the gym and set aside an hour or so of time, 24 hours in advance, and you can tie that screening process to that sign-in, to that registration. So it makes it a little bit easier. If you don't have anything proprietary, feel free to contact us. We do have other programs that we can recommend. Personal protective equipment, PPE, masks. Masks are mandatory. I know I've heard a lot of the complaints. It's going to be difficult working out with a mask, but it is for safety of everybody that you wear a mask, not just walking through the gym, but when you're actually using the equipment. It's going to be a pain in the neck, I know. And if you do have a medical reason for why you can't wear a mask, you can get a doctor's note or something saying that you don't need to, or you can't wear a mask. But for the normal, healthy individuals, masks are a requirement. Distancing, 6-foot distances, CDC and everything that we've been hearing about for the past several months. Again, the 33% occupancy. CDC also recommends for class purposes, indoor classes, minimum of 200 square feet per person. Essentially between the 33%, the 200 square feet, 6-foot distancing, it's whatever the minimum is for that occupancy of that room. So of those 3 stipulations from the state and from the CDC, whatever is the minimum. So if you have a room that can only occupy 9 people at most at one time. You're going to have to cut that by a third to 3. However, if you only have 400 square feet, you're really going to have to cut that to 2 people. Let's see. The water bottle fillers are still okay. However, the state has mandated that you shut down any communal water fountains. So no more water fountains, but if you have that bottle filler station, you can still have that usable. So people can fill up their own individual water bottles. But for the most part, water fountains, you can actually turn them off so that the fountains won't work. Otherwise, I'd recommend taping them off so people aren't tempted. Let's see, air handling system. This is one of the biggest questions I've gotten. So the state has mandated minimum MERV 13 air filtration standard across the board. Some background on MERV. So the MERV is a rating system for filters, the minimum efficiency rating value of filtration. So just like a filter in your home, your apartment, your car, the filter goes into your HVAC unit, and any air passing through it will be filtered out. The rating system goes from 1 to 20. The MERV 13 is rated to extrapolate any sort of pathogens of, I want to say it's 0.3 microns. So any air that is infected with the virus of 0.3 microns will be filtered out through this MERV 13 filter. So that is the state standard. So if you know that you have a MERV 13 filter in your HVAC unit that feeds your gym, great. If you don't know, we recommend getting an HVAC certified professional into your gym to either document that, yes, you do have your MERV 13 filter, or if you don't, you either need to get one, or that professional, if they determine that your HVAC unit cannot be adapted to this MERV 13 filter, they need to recommend alternatives to bring it up to this state standard. Unfortunately, Jeff, Matt, myself, any of our technicians, we are not HVAC professionals. We are not certified. So you really need to get a New York City, New York State certified HVAC professional to check out your gym, to check out your HVAC, and to document, yes, we have it, no, we don't, here's the alternative, whatever it may be. Inspections. So on Monday, Mayor de Blasio came out and said that for the time being, while all the city inspectors are sidetracked right now with doing inspections of schools and daycare facilities, they're going to be doing virtual inspections, meaning that they're going to be doing Zoom calls or any sort of virtual inspections where they will ask you to see the gym, show them what machines might be shut down, any sort of safety protocols or plans that you have in place. They're going to want to see the paperwork that you have from the past 28 days with regards to the screening process, and they will give you that sign-off virtually for the time being. However, as soon as the inspectors are done with their school and daycare inspections, they will turn their focus over to doing in-person inspections. So not a time to be lax on these regulations. You do want them up to par and up to speed with what the state and city has mandated, because eventually there will be someone potentially coming into your gym to actually physically look at the facility, look at your layout, inspect your MERV 13 filters, and give you a passing or failing grade. And unfortunately, if you fail, you're probably going to have to be shut down, and there may be some sort of fines or something like that. So again, it's certainly not a time to be lax in any of these regulations. So yeah, that's pretty much it from a New York City standpoint. And any sort of additional questions you have, again, no two facilities are going to be alike. So please set up a consultation with us, and we're happy to help.
Awesome. Thank you, Jeff. And I just have one question, and I'm going to move here to Matt, but I know air handling is, it's one of the things that we're working through, and obviously we're not HVAC specialists, right? But I do think one of the things that you're able to help clients with, Jeff, as it relates to some other topics that we've talked about before, are our disinfect and protect process, and actually the technology with Atmos Air.
Mhm.
What has the value of that service and those products been for your clients, where Merv 13 and some of these other things, maybe it's in the bag, they've already got it, right? And if they don't, it could be an older building, and there's some things that they needed to do anyway. But I had mentioned earlier, like, here's good, here's great, and then here's just like outstanding. We got a lot of people in New York City that are outstanding, right? And they want to be able to do more and provide more comfort for people, that we're going that extra step. We're putting that additional layer. And I think, what's the feedback from the clients, and what have you seen as clients have been introduced into our Disinfect and Protect program and Atmos Air? Are we helping them? Are we not helping them? What's the impact to them and their residents at the end of the day with these types of things?
Sure. So I don't want to get too sciencey, but going back to the Merv 13 filters. So the Merv 13, again, it sounds super technical and sounds great, but essentially it's just a filter. It's a filter that goes into your HVAC system. So it is only as good as the air that's being sucked through your intake and being blown through the filter. The issue really comes into the air that's actually circulating in the room itself. So I want you to envision your gym, your facility. Say you've got, again, we call it 1,000 square feet. You've got 3 treadmills, 3 ellipticals, 4 bikes, a host of strength equipment. You're shutting down some of the machines, but still potentially you've got 5, maybe 6 people in your gym. If someone on the far treadmill coughs or even just breathes heavily, particulates are going to be now circulating through the air in the gym itself. And if, say, you've got 4 other individuals in the room, those particulates have a potential to either be breathed in by another individual. They have a potential to land on another product. The air would essentially, whatever that person has now projectiled into the air, would have to make it all the way into your ductwork, into your intake for that HVAC system, for that Merv 13 filter to be effective. Again, the treatment of the air in the room itself then becomes paramount. And what this Atmos Air system provides is a supplemental filtration and purification process where it's installed on the supply side of your HVAC. So the air actually being blown into the room and circulating throughout the room has this bipolar ionization, where the ionized particles will actually break down molecules, VOCs, pathogens, the virus, and will render it neutral before it has a chance to either land on that treadmill or that elliptical, or be breathed in potentially by another user in your gym. So again, Merv 13 filters are great, and that's the state minimum, the state mandate. But really, this supplemental Atmos Air product that we have partnered with and are promoting and distributing and installing is really brings it full circle. So again, you've got your air being being filtered in your HVAC, but the room, or the air being blown into the room itself, is actually seeking and destroying any airborne pathogens, which is where really the trouble is with the COVID-19 virus.
That's awesome, Jeff. And I think, I love the science, obviously, right? But I think in simple terms too, what I'm hearing you saying is, whether it's disinfect and protect, everybody's got elevated cleaning frequencies and processes. This is costly, right? But here's a solution with Atmos Air in our DMP, where we can actively disinfect and sanitize surfaces and airs 24/7, right? So if we're on the supply side pushing this in here, decontaminating things, that's not the same as somebody running around wiping things or before and after, right? It's actively neutralizing these pathogens and the virus. And on the DMP side, I know this one, you didn't mention it, but the antimicrobial protection that we're putting down, that's on that service, killing off those pathogens all the time, right? So even if something does land on a surface and you didn't do Atmos, right, we're able to prevent that bio buildup if it's a bacteria or a fungus or something, and then also work very hard on some of these viruses so that we're not spreading germs around. So I think the air handling and Merv and what has been announced here for New York, and you're going to hear some stuff on New Jersey. That's great. There's so much more we can do. And I think when we know the Big Apple, it's full of skyscrapers, right? We're indoors. There is a way to seek and destroy and attack the air in the space versus waiting for it to go to a filter or waiting for it to go past a UV light. You can do much, much more. So I appreciate the detail on that, Jeff. And we're gonna move to Mr. Matt Silver to talk about New Jersey.
All right. Thanks for having me, everybody. You know, similar to what a lot of the stuff I'm going to be talking about through these bullets are very similar as, you know, both the governors in New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, Pennsylvania, they've all kind of collaborated to come up with best practices. So some of the stuff in Jersey is a little bit more strict and some stuff is a little bit more lenient. So I want to go through and help clear up some stuff. Obviously, we were able to open gyms finally as of yesterday. I go to the gym every day, so I was able to enjoy a gym yesterday and this morning. And to speak on that a little bit, you know, I think the stuff I'm going to talk about today is important to do because you have to do it. But I think when we talk about the amenity space and having amenity be something that draws in customers to retain residents, you know, the ability to create a safe environment where people not only know that we're doing all the things and checking the boxes, but you know, your residents know that it's as safe as it can possibly be. You're going to have a lot more people use the amenity, and you want to be the clubhouse or the fitness center or the rec center that has gone above and beyond. And that's a little bit about what Jeff were just talking about in terms of taking a proactive approach to go after and attack the virus versus being reactive and say, oh yeah, we'll get cleaning on that later. We want to go after the air immediately. We want to prevent the services from getting attacked via our Disinfect and Protect program, and we've had tremendous success with it so far. And you know, I thank Jeff Shivin for putting all these things in place and partnering with companies and manufacturers to give us all this stuff at our fingertips. And it's been amazing. So let's go through some of these bullet points. Again, New York's at 33%, New Jersey's at 25%, about a person for every 125 square feet. Again, a lot of that is easy for us to help out. And again, I'd be happy to do these assessments with any of those interested in terms of spacing out your equipment and making it available. Okay. Temperature check, screening, employee customer log. Essentially, you know, you're going to need somebody that's right at that front door. As soon as somebody walks in your fitness center, they're getting a temperature check, and we're about a slide away from showing you probably the best temperature check reading unit on the market right now that we have available that does the temperature screening for you in a touchless. The screenings, very simple questions. Again, I have them somewhat memorized because even going to the gym myself, they ask me every time I walk in the door, do you have COVID? Do you have any symptoms? Have you been around anybody that has symptoms? Have you traveled outside of the state or the country in the last 14 days? And then make sure that temperature is under 100.4. And if it is over 100.4, they got to go. You can't let them in the facility. Okay. And then even the employees, everybody that walks through that fitness center has to sign this waiver and answer those questions. And again, I would be cognizant of HIPAA violations in terms of keeping that temperature checks to keep that paperwork organized and safe and for safekeeping. But it's very important that you guys understand every single person that walks to your fitness center, you need to have a log. Unlike New York, New Jersey isn't necessarily going to have those inspections. But if the health department or somebody from the state of New Jersey does come in and ask you for that and you don't have it, they're going to shut you down. So you got to have it. You got to be prepared. And again, it's about giving your residents that peace of mind. Access to the facility, you do want to limit to a single access point. If you have multiple doors, you want people walking through one door and exiting through one door. A lot of things we've done in the layout as we've been helping relay out facilities is creating a safe space where people are all walking in the same direction. Similar, for those of you guys who've been to a Target, a Walmart, Home Depot, a ShopRite, a Stop and Shop, there's arrows on the ground telling you what direction to walk in. So it's really important that, we're showing you exactly how that works. So again, you want to have one single access point in and out of the facility. Again, the PPE, people have to have masks on at all times. And it's something that needs to be regulated. The last thing you want is somebody feeling uncomfortable in the gym, taking a picture of one of the residents and sending it in. Again, that's how gyms get shut down. So you want to be very on top of making sure that people have the mask on. It's something when you're doing your screenings initially, you see their mask, you see they have it on. A mask covers their entire nose and mouth, not the chin strap action. It's got to cover their whole face, okay? And they have to have it on at all times. Even while they're doing cardio, I have a lot of gyms that have been asking me, hey, we got classes, do people need to wear it? Yes, they need to wear it. If they're in the facility, they have to wear it at all times. If they need to take a sip of water, that is literally the only time they could quickly pull their mask down, sip their water, put the mask back on.
Hey, Matt,
Yes.
Matt, I wanted to ask you a question because you put a really nice LinkedIn post out yesterday, and obviously enjoyed your gym when they reopened in New Jersey. But I think you have an extensive background in personal training and fitness and running gyms. What was that experience like working out with your mask on? And if you had to, coach somebody up on the benefit, not just the health benefits of protecting yourself and others from COVID, but I think there's some exercise physiology points to maybe make there's some benefits to wearing a mask actually and working out. Can you touch on any of those?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, people have been training with what they call the altitude mask to make it harder and make your lungs work a little bit harder for a very long time. Athletes, both amateur and professional alike, train with those type of masks to make it a little bit harder to breathe. Again, we're talking about hardcore athletes, but in terms of what Jeff's talking about, it's really important to be educating your residents that they do have, because some people have like a full, even though, the CDC in the state is telling you, look, save the N95 mask for the health professionals. You got some people with the most heavy duty filtered mask on. And that mask itself is going to be harder. If you have an 85-year-old resident that has one of those heavy duty masks on, you're going to want to educate them during that screening to take it a little bit easy. And for somebody like me who works out 7 days a week and, went to the gym myself, I went and found, a mask. I'm not going to name the brand because we're not here to sell masks, right? But I found a brand that sold a breathable mask specifically for workouts. It wasn't to restrict my breathing, but something that I had to get accustomed to myself. And I'm somebody who works out all the time, even through COVID in my basement, it is a different process. It is really challenging at first, and what the benefit is your body adapts to a new way of breathing, and you do your VO2. And again, I want to get too technical. Me and Jeff are kind of the fitness nerds here, but the VO2 math, your VO2 output, it gets adjusted accordingly, and you do have a more challenging aerobic exercise even through your strength training. I was doing just weights today, and I definitely, was sweating under the mask, was breathing a little bit heavier. People have to know that's normal, okay? But again, I would caution to say, make sure that your residents are aware it's going to be a different way to breathe. There's a lot of misinformation on the internet that, you're breathing out carbon monoxide or dioxide, and you're breathing it back in, and you're going to, have suffocation. It's not the case, although I will say that, people have to be careful. People in other states have passed out from wearing masks during their workout because they were going as heavy as they've ever went before with a mask on, not realizing the difference in their oxygen input and output, and it does make a difference. But I can't stress enough, it's very important. It's absolutely mandatory. But the benefit is you're going to get a more intense aerobic exercise, and there is a lot of benefits to it. So Jeff,
Awesome.
I hope that answered where we're going with that.
Wait till you see how your performance is when you take the mask off after wearing the mask, right?
Yeah.
There's your sunny side, right?
Absolutely.
Thank you, man.
Thank you. Great question, Jeff. Distancing, again, the 6-foot social distancing, all times. Accordance, you got to have the signage. You should have signage pretty much every few feet, reminding people to stay 6 feet apart. Again, that even terms, I don't know if you have trainers in your facility, trainers in the gym. It's something we haven't talked about, but even trainers in New York or New Jersey, they still have to 6 feet apart. They're not allowed to spot people right now. You still, trainers, employees, everybody in that facility, 6 feet apart. It's very important to understand, because you'll have people that are going to want to work out together like they've been accustomed to in your fitness center and live with each other. And there's no spotting. There's no helping each other out. You have to stay 6 feet apart the entire time you're in that facility. And make sure that social distancing plan and signage is everywhere. It's, Jeff Shipman talks about not creating a biohazard environment, which I agree with. You don't want to scare people and make it a scary time for the gym. It's awesome for people to get to work out. People want to get their immune systems back to normal. Working out is the healthiest thing people can do right now. We just got to keep people safe. Hygiene and cleaning. Supplies made convenient available at each unit, used after each use. So essentially what's that saying? And again, I could speak from very specific experience in the last couple of days at a 40,000 square foot big box health club. They typically had cleaning stations, around every 5 or 6 pieces of equipment. Now they have them around every 3 pieces of equipment. That doesn't mean you need, huge garbage cans and huge cleaning stations on every piece of equipment. But if you're typically only have one wall-mounted gym wipe dispenser and a garbage can, and you have that typical, Jeff Vogel mentioned a couple times, this hypothetical 1,000 square foot gym with 4 treadmills, 4 ellipticals, a couple bikes, and a bunch of strength equipment, you're going to need to have multiple stations available for people to go. They shouldn't have to walk across the room to get to a cleaning station. You want to make it as easy and accessible for people to get to that. And again, we post on LinkedIn, but I want to reiterate, we do at Heartline have, I don't know, about 50 pallets worth of these gym wipes that are, again, EPA registered, corona killing gym wipes that are safe for the equipment, will not harm the electrical. I still talk to folks every day that are still using Lysol wipes or wipes that have bleach or peroxide. That is going to kill your equipment. You have to have the right kind of wipe. The wipes that you might have bought in the past from, I'm not going to name any companies to do harm to other suppliers who sell cleaning products, but some of these other cleaning supply companies are going to push, a heavy duty bleach base or peroxide base or ammonia based cleaner. Very bad for the equipment. So if you have any questions, please reach out to us so we can help you out. I provided a bunch of you, even some of you on this call, with those cleaning stations. So let us help you make sure that you have the right amount and that you have the right product. The cleaning frequency in the gym, it's got to be a minimum of 3 times a day, whether it's your own staff or janitorial or a third-party company. And you do have to keep a log of that cleaning. Again, they're not going to be coming in. The health department isn't going to be coming in immediately, but they could at any time. If they come into your facility and ask to see your cleaning log and say, oh yeah, we're cleaning, I swear, and don't have that sheet of paper, it's no bueno. It's not going to be any good. So you need to have a cleaning log for that cleaning to be happening. And again, you need to be, I get a question all the time about what cleaner to use. You want to use a quaternary disinfectant, again, that does not have the ammonia, not to be confused with ammonium, does not have peroxide, does not have bleach. You don't want anything that's going to harm the equipment. Similar to the, in regards to the water, again, the water bottle filler is okay. Regular water fountains, shut them down. Either turn off the water supply, tape them up, or both. Partition showers where people are completely separated. And again, only if they have a pool. If your community has a pool, all other showers must be closed, especially the big old school locker room showers. 86 of them, they gotta be shut down, as well as our shared saunas and steam rooms for the time being, and probably for the undetermined future. And again, to go back into air handling, not as specific I really did enjoy Jeff Vogel's Merv 13 explanation. Again, you know, to go back to that for a second, you know, I'm the guy who goes to Home Depot and you look at all the air filters and I look at, and they have a nice little chart that gives you the color, and it's like not doing anything all the way to barely blowing air out, right? And it gives you little numbers, you know, that's that Merv rating. There's not a specific Merv rating in New Jersey, but you do have to have proper air circulation they talk about. And I would, again, we're getting this information right from the CDC and the health department in New Jersey. Again, all this information is public. I would ask that you dive deeper if you want to know more specifically, because we're not HVAC experts, but, you know, opening the windows, having fans, overhead fans, circulation, outside air, the proper filtration. And again, as Jeff talked about, the ideal scenario is that Atmos air, the bipolar ionization, where we're attacking the air as it's coming into the room and proactively going after the virus. We're not waiting for it to hit a surface and then having to clean it. So again, the 1-2 punch, you know, we've talked about a couple of times, I want to reiterate, is we disinfect and protect. We come in, we do the preventive maintenance, we disinfect all the equipment with a 10-minute dwell time. We lay down our antimicrobial protectant with heavy-duty electrostatic guns that we're using, all right, with our full PPE gear. And again, I always use the analogy, think of it like Rain-X on your windshield, where it's stopping the water from hitting the windshield. The antimicrobial protection is catching and killing the corona before it attaches to the surface, okay? So that's gonna protect the surface, and then the Atmos air product that we have available, that's gonna kill the air, that's gonna go after the virus proactively versus just waiting for it to hopefully get wherever your air return is, because you could be, you know, some of you only have one return on the other side of the gym. That doesn't help Johnny Smith over here coughing, sneezing, or breathing heavy. So we want to proactively go after the air. You want to be fully prepared. We have the best possible solutions available to you. And again, ADA, CDC, OSHA, EPA requirements. Guys, we've always followed those as a company. When we do layouts, me and Jeff do layouts, it's always going to be an ADA compliant layout. And again, now we're adding the CDC, the OSHA, and the EPA added requirements to everything we're doing moving forward. And I'm going to hand this slide back over to Jeff for the next slide, but I would reiterate the fact that, you know, we are partnered, our sister companies are the best of the best with regards to, you know, American Pool, Plan Companies, Live Unlimited. These folks can help you, help us help you with those screenings, with that porter, you know, with the management of the facility. And we're glad to be able to do these assessments, jump on a call, get your facility, do whatever we need to do to provide you with the peace of mind and make sure that you're comfortable opening and your residents are happy and comfortable.
Awesome. Thank you, Matt. Wow, and I just went through all the slides that quick. So we're going to open up the Q&A. We still got a few more minutes here before we hit the time limit. But, you know, Matt had mentioned, and in New Jersey, they're requiring temperature checks. This is kind of one of the first states that I'm aware of that is requiring this. So we have a product, and funny enough or not funny enough, it actually comes from a fitness company where we sell Echelon bikes, which is very similar to Peloton and extremely popular right now. So we have the technology and we have these types of units if you're interested, where it's a touchless temperature check. It's going to help you with, you know, these assessments and keeping social distancing. You know, it's a little tricky sometimes with the guns or however you're taking temperature, but this allows the user to walk up to it. You don't touch anything. It recognizes you, it tells you you're green, it sounds off, and you can go in. You're still going to need to kind of create some sort of log and questionnaire and things like that based on state and local mandates here. But this covers off this one part, and it's visual, and it's also, you know, you're hearing a noise where they got approved. And Matt did mention this. I'm not sure if Jeff did or not, but you know, any of this where you're required to log this information, it's sensitive information, right? And breaching HIPAA laws and things like that, you need to make sure you do this properly and don't expose people's information, whether they're safe or they're sick, right? You have to be careful. So lastly, I just want to reiterate again, and we'll go to some questions. I actually have some questions for the guys too, but, American Pool, plan companies, Live Unlimited. If you need any of these resources, again, you're talking about best-in-class companies that are strategic partners, sister companies of ours. They're here to help. Our amenity assessment is somewhat focused on fitness, obviously, but we have the experts on our industry, no matter what the scenario is in that amenity space, to really help our clients do it right. We want COVID to go away. We want you to have not just a good amenity experience, right? We want you to have best in class, exceptional. That's the demand that is coming. Mark my words, you're going to have to do more, right? So and again, if you need any of us too, we've created just a unique email here. Obviously, you can get Matt Silver at matt.silver@heartlinefitness.com. And Jeff Vogel is just Jeff, Geoff, @heartlinefitness.com. But in general, if you need to get a hold of us for plan, for pools, for Live Unlimited, just reach out at info@heartlinefitness and we can redirect you. So I have a few questions, and then I want to just make sure we cover off any questions that any of our participants may have. Jeff, I'm going to go to you. What in the assessments that you're doing in New York City? I know you've been up there for weeks now, doing a lot. What are some of the common things that you see people really need help with, right? I know there's all the reopenings, but there's got to be a common theme to, like, we're just missing this one spot, right? Or a couple different things that, whether it's something we got to do to get reopened, but it's like, it's just an easy opportunity to make a big difference when you're doing these assessments.
Well, certainly, some of the things that people tend to overlook, the state has recommended and the CDC recommends and we recommend, for example, no communal usage of yoga mats, soft goods, balls, rollers, things like that. People always tend to forget those items. Certainly when you're able to point those out to people and say, yeah, you really don't want to have those out. That's an easy one. The layouts in general. Some people, don't really understand the differences between, say, an elliptical and an arc trainer, recumbent bike versus an upright bike. So they end up shutting down all their upright bikes, but they don't, they want to have an upright bike or a recumbent bike. So we can come in and evaluate that to make sure that, you're not just haphazardly shutting down equipment. You're doing it in a manner that will cater to the most popular equipment, making sure that we have a good mix of equipment that's still operable by users. That's certainly one thing. Gym wipes, again, I think Matt mentioned previously that in earlier times, you might have one gym wipe station for 1,000 square feet or 1,200 square feet. You're going to want a gym wipe station and a hand sanitizing station per zone of the gym. So if you've got a cardio zone with, again, 3 treadmills, 3 ellipticals, 3 bikes, you're going to want a minimum station for that zone. If you've got a strength training station, you're going to want a minimum 1 station per that zone. Free weights, if you want to continue having free weights, and again, I know that's a contentious issue with a lot of our customers. If you plan to keep your free weights because you're going to have an uprising if you take them out, absolutely a dedicated gym wipe station for that zone. Those are high touch points. If anyone's familiar with, like, your dumbbells, you have knurled handling. So you want people absolutely encouraged to wipe down every time they touch one of those barbells, dumbbells, free weight stations, whatever. So just things like that. And again, every facility is different. Every facility is unique. Equipment mixes are unique. So really, it's a matter of, setting up an appointment with us. I've done hundreds of these assessments over the past couple of weeks in New York and DC. Happy to do one for you guys as well. Anyone out there. So just set up an appointment, and we'll put together this tailored assessment for you.
Awesome. Thanks, Jeff. So I got time for one more question here from Matt, and we're going to have a separate webinar on this, but I think, you know, we've got our experts here. Why not ask? We've been talking a lot, you know, obviously about amenity assessments, but activating the amenity spaces. And sometimes there's a little bit of confusion of like, what does that mean? That's actually intentional, right? we want you to ask that question. You know, for us, the activation of the amenity space comes a lot through our design, through the products, through understanding your demographic, the flow, the amount of space that we have. There's a lot to it. There's a whole other side of that sometimes people think, well, are you bringing in trainers? Are you doing that? No, we're not necessarily doing that, but through design, through products, through technology, we're able to provide an activation, okay, of, you know, the demand for people to have, you know, a certain lifestyle, an active lifestyle, create community engagement, that social piece. And my question really to Matt, to you is, we've been doing this all along, right? It's extremely important right now because we're starved from the gym and this activity and this social piece. What are some of those products that, you know, on the low end scale, on the high end scale, like here's easy solutions in a time where I can't fill the whole gym up with equipment anymore, right? We just covered social distancing and all these other parameters that are coming in, but there's an opportunity to maybe take that oldest piece out it's not serving people anymore. And how do we put a niche product in that really helps to enhance the community, right? Provides more of that active lifestyle. And again, these types of things all go back to retention for the renters. How much can I charge for that amenity space? Is it a product that, hey, my kids can kind of use it because it's gamified, or it's got video with it? So I think, you know, it's tough to ask people to spend money these days, and everything's tightening down, but in the grand scheme of what we're doing in these assessments, there's an additional opportunity outside of just reopening them to make them better, right? Make them best in class, make them exceptional with a couple little changes to really enhance it for the end user. So I'll leave it with you, Matt, to wrap it up on that. But I know you know the products just like all of us do, and there's some cool things that we've been selling and presenting to people that you should definitely inform us on.
Yeah, absolutely. So on the simple, easy, accessible, I'll start off with the less fancy stuff, right? Jeff talked about, and Jeff Vogel's done a great job of this. Both of us have done a ton of layouts to make the rooms as accessible as possible. You know, people want cardio, and when you have to shut down a bunch of treadmills and ellipticals and bikes that are plugged in, you know, people are going to be upset, and there's going to be less cardio to use. So what's very popular and highly recommended right now are spin bikes. And I'm just talking on the basic level. We talked about low and high. Jeff just mentioned on the low end, you got a standard spin bike. It's on wheels. It can go anywhere in the room. It could go to your multi-purpose area. It could even go to the lobby. You can go outside the fitness center. Like, it can move anywhere through the room, and can be moved during and before and after use. Same thing with a rower. And what's also nice about rowers is 99% of the rowers that are air driven, there's also a water rower. Not only does the rower not require electricity, the ones I'm referring to, but a lot of them will stand right up vertically. So when they're not in use, they can go flush to the wall and still give you all that extra space to keep the social distancing after somebody used that. And then additionally, there's also your old school, but very popular air bike. And the air bike, you know, the Schwinn Airdyne bike, and you know, Spirit makes one of 3 different companies we have make a full body bike that's completely air driven, and that could go anywhere in the room as well, no electricity. And in the middle, before I get into the high end, we also have a full line. We partner with a company called Greenfields, a full line of outdoor equipment. So whether you have, you know, empty space in what used to be or isn't being used as a trail or a kids play area, we have a full host of equipment that's, we have ADA accessible stuff. We have, for your hardcore members, functional rigs down to a standard, no weight or resistance activated strength and cardio equipment that gets bolted into the ground and is made to be outside. So that's another fantastic product that'll serve you, during Corona and also after Corona. And I think it's very niche in the sense that you could be the only property in the area that maybe has one of these systems that people feel comfortable. Because I got to tell you, no matter how comfortable people are in the gym, there's going to be Sally Jones that no matter how much you clean, she doesn't want to go in with a mask on and work out. And now you don't have the amenity at all for her. So give her the outdoor space, give her an alternative. Be the community that has the alternatives, and you can reach out to us after the call, and we could talk more about our Greenfield product line, but we have full suite of information on that. And now, I want to talk a little bit about the wow factor cardio, because again, when you open the fitness center, you don't want to just open the fitness center like, look, it's safe, it's clean, the air is good, here's a whole bunch of tape around, go nuts. Like, you want to have somebody walk in and be like, oh, wow, and you got some new equipment. So we got some really, when you think about the equipment now and people are using it, if they're going to take that step to get their temperature read and fill out a form and do all this extra stuff that they haven't had to do before, then give them that amazing wow factor experience. Give them the interactive rowers we have from Averon. Averon makes a rower that, you could be, rowing, and it's built-in video game where you're being chased by zombies, or you're rowing against an Olympian rower. Or you're competing against the friend next door. You could have somebody 6 feet apart on a rower competing with each other. That's been extremely popular. We also have the alternative to the Peloton, because Peloton does no longer service multifamily. They're strictly residential. So we did partner with a company called Echelon that makes quite a few different interactive bikes, insanely popular, amazing quality, live classes, on-demand content, a whole suite of apps at your fingertips. And then last but not least, we also have a product called the Reflect Mirror. It's a 50-inch touchscreen mirror that goes on the wall. And that gives you, as a camera built into it. It gives you classes. It gives you a one-on-one personal trainer. It gives you content. And, a lot of my layouts I've been doing in those studios, because we're not comfortable having gods of people in there with an instructor. We're throwing 3 or 4 of those mirrors spread sporadically out the room. That way 4 people could still be doing a class, and they could have a separate class going on. They could have their own mirror doing their own different classes, rather than being pigeonholed to, okay, we have Zumba at 3 o'clock and that's it. People can come in and do whatever they want. So we'd have tremendous success. There's the virtual offerings we have been amazing, and we have access to all this stuff. So please reach out. We'd love to be able to provide you with that wow factor and with the easily accessible cardio for those of you doing the social distancing, as well as that outdoor equipment. Thanks, Jeff.
Awesome. Thanks, Matt. And again, Matt's just touched on a few of the tools he has in his tool bag. There's multiple companies that are providing very niche, unique products in the virtual space. Wellbeats, we've got Espresso, we mentioned Echelon, Averon's specific products to give you that wow factor. And I think, one other thing you mentioned, Matt, too, and then we're going to close it up here, but, spin bikes, you can put it outdoors, you can put it anywhere. Some more of this mobile equipment, we're starting to squeeze down on the space that we can actually use in there. There are products that it just doesn't all have to sit in the fitness center, right? Take some of this equipment, maybe repurpose it to a different space, right? Take a dead space outside, right, and invigorate it with greenfields type outdoor equipment solution. So, that's the importance of having an expert come in and do a full-on assessment. We are going to find things and see things and perceive things differently than you would. And we're going to find opportunity for you to do this safely, right? To make it inviting. We talked about tape and war zones and signs and all this other stuff. People want to work out, right? And you want this environment to be inviting for them. So we're here to help. We have strategic partners, pools, planned, live. We can help you get this done. Reach out, info@Heartline Fitness. I thank you all for your time. Matt, Jeff, thank you for your expertise. They're here to help you. And let's all be safe. Let's exercise, be fit and well, and have a great day.